Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to talk about what makes systems bend instead of break. It's a concept called operational flexibility, and honestly, it's the invisible force that keeps our world running when things inevitably go sideways.
But let's kick things off with a question I think we've all been asking ourselves lately. From power outages to those frustrating shipping delays, why do the complex systems we depend on every single day feel so, fragile? Why do they seem to just shatter at the first sign of trouble?
You see, for the longest time, we've built our world on these super rigid systems. Think of them like glass rods. Yeah, they're incredibly strong and efficient, but only if everything goes exactly as planned. The second you apply pressure from a new direction, snap. But the future? It needs something different. It needs systems that are more like bamboo, designed to bend with the wind, not break, and to stand strong because they're resilient.
All right, so here's the game plan for today. We're going to start by nailing down what operational flexibility really is. Then, we'll see it out in the wild, in our energy grids, our factories, and our supply chains. And finally, we'll see what it all means for the future. So, let's dive in.
So, what exactly is this thing we're calling operational flexibility? Let's get a clear definition.
At its heart, it's all about building systems that actually expect the unexpected. It's about having the built-in ability to handle surprises. A sudden spike in demand, a new piece of tech, or some kind of global disruption without completely falling apart. It's not just about enduring, it's about adapting on the fly.
And to really see this in action, let's start with one of the most critical systems we have, our power grids. Because right now, they are under an incredible amount of stress.
The main problem is that energy just isn't as predictable as it used to be. On one hand, you've got renewables like wind and solar, which are amazing, but they don't generate power 24/7. And on the other hand, our demand for power is all over the place. Our old, rigid grid just wasn't built for this kind of volatility. And this is where things get really interesting and kind of counterintuitive. Check this out. New research shows that when you retrofit an old coal plant with CO2 capture, which is a great move for cutting emissions, you can actually reduce its operational flexibility by almost 24%. It just can't ramp up or down as quickly. It really highlights what a complex balancing act this is.
So, how are engineers supposed to solve this puzzle? Well, they're making the entire system smarter and way more adaptive, right from the ground up. And what's cool is that the solutions are popping up everywhere. You got pharmaceutical plants tweaking their massive air conditioning systems to help the grid. You've got researchers using things like heat pumps and thermal storage to act as giant energy batteries for wind power. We're even coming up with totally new ways to measure and use the flexibility that's already hidden in things like hydropower. To really get this, let's zoom in on a specific case. Just picture an offshore oil platform. It's basically its own little island, its own tiny isolated energy grid. How on earth can a system like that handle a fluctuating power source like wind without everything going haywire?
Well, the answer once again is flexibility. One study found that by making the platform's gas turbines more adaptable, they could smoothly integrate wind power and save a staggering amount of fuel. We're talking the equivalent of over 1,700 hours of runtime. That's just a massive demonstration of what flexibility can do. Now, this exact same need for flexibility is totally transforming the world of manufacturing. It's forcing a huge shift away from the old-school assembly line.
Let's be real. Customers today just don't want one-size-fits-all anymore. We expect things to be personalized, to be on demand. And the traditional factory, which was built to just crank out millions of the exact same thing, it just can't keep up with that need for variety and speed. So the answer is what everyone's calling the smart factory. And it runs on all this Industry 4.0 tech. You've got IoT sensors everywhere, constantly feeding data to the cloud. You've got AI analyzing that data and making decisions in real time. You have collaborative robots, or cobots, working right alongside people. It's all connected, it's all synchronized, and most importantly, it's all adaptable. But this isn't all just about flashy robots. It's also about smarter engineering from the very beginning. For instance, one study found that just by redesigning a chemical plant's heating and cooling network to be more flexible, they could cut their energy use by nearly 14% and their overall costs by more than 20%. That's a huge win. But, and this is a big but, technology is not the whole story. One of the trickiest parts of this whole puzzle is the relationship between humans and automation. In fact, some recent research shows that just giving a human operator more control over an automated system doesn't necessarily make things better or more accurate. Finding that perfect, flexible sweet spot between human skill and machine efficiency, that's a major frontier right now.
And that need for balance leads us right into our final example, the mind-bogglingly complex global supply chains that bring pretty much everything to our doorsteps.
If the past few years have taught us anything, it's just how fragile these chains can be. We've all felt this one personally, right? The empty shelves, the crazy shipping delays, the out-of-stock notifications. It turns out a single little problem can send ripples through the entire system.
So how do you build in more resilience? Well, some really cool research shows that it's like a positive chain reaction. When you boost flexibility at the very beginning of the chain, like say having more than one supplier for a part, that directly makes your planning and delivery better. And that, in turn, makes your final procurement process stronger. It's a domino effect of resilience.
At the end of the day, building this flexibility into our logistics, from how a shipping port manages containers to how a delivery company routes its trucks, all of that translates directly into fewer headaches for us and more reliable access to the stuff we actually need.
Okay, so we've looked at power grids, factories, and supply chains. What's the big picture here? What does the blueprint for a more resilient, more flexible future actually look like?
It's pretty amazing, actually. Across all these completely different fields, the same 4 key ingredients keep popping up. It's never just one thing. It's always a combination of adopting the right tech, redesigning processes so they can change on a dime, truly understanding the human factor, and making flexibility a core part of your strategy from day one.
The evidence is pretty clear. Our world is only getting more volatile, and it demands flexibility. But the real challenge isn't just a technical one. It's a fundamental shift in our thinking, away from rigid, perfect optimization and toward adaptive resilience. So the real question for all of us is, are we ready to make that change?